Hello friends, this is Sanjay Arora from New Delhi, India. Today I will demystify the concept of the term insurance, which has been divided into 9 parts. The business of insurance has undoubtedly developed at the fast pace over the years. The advantages of insurance are being increasingly realized by people all over the world. Insurance inculcates the habit of savings and provides the protection and security to the insured. But the swelling numbers of court cases against the insurance companies due to their callous attitude, rejecting on the flimsiest grounds the genuine claims of the dependents of the policy holders requires the appreciation of the insurance law. The grievances of the policy holders, which generally come up for decision before the redressal agencies, relate to: first, delay in issuing the policy; second, failure to insure after the payment of premium; third, delay or negligence in processing the claims. There are other issues which are determined by the redressal agencies, which are as follows: whether the insurers are on risk or not; second, whether the claim is outside the scope of the policy; third, whether the policy holder has breached the warranty so as to entitle the insurance company to repudiate the claim, the insurance policy. With this necessary backdrop, I would be making a catena of videos on the insurance law. Today's lecture enunciates the term insurance, which has been divided into 9 parts. The first part is, what is the distinction between assurance and insurance? Second, what are the elements of a contract of insurance? Third, what are the functions of insurance? Fourth, what is the subject matter of insurance? Fifth, what is the classification of contracts of insurance? Sixth, what is miscellaneous insurance? Seventh, what is insurance against personal accident? Eighth, what is guarantee insurance? And ninth, what is the distinction between a contract of insurance and a contract of wagering? Part first, what is the distinction between assurance and insurance? These two words, these two terms, assurance and insurance, are often used in common parlance interchangeably. The term assurance gives cover for events such as death, which are bound to happen, while insurance indemnifies the insured for the damage or loss such as fire, which may or may not befall. Professor E.R. Hardy, IFME, in his book The General Principles of Insurance Law, 4th edition, page number 3, based on the decision in Prudential Insurance Company versus the Internal Revenue Commissioners, defines a contract of insurance as follows: a contract whereby one party, called the insurer, undertakes in return for an agreed consideration, called the premium, to pay to another person, called the assured, a sum of money or its equivalent on the happening of a specified event. The event insured against, as said by Justice Channel in the case of Prudential Insurance Company versus Inland Revenue Commissioners 1904 2 KB 658, that the event insured against must involve some amount of uncertainty whether the event will ever happen at all, such as motor accident or if the event is one which in the course of nature must inevitably happen at some time or the other, such as that there must be an uncertainty as to the time at which the event will happen. McGillivray and Parkington, in his book, The Insurance Law, 7th edition, page number 7, further say that the event on which the liability of the insurer depends must be beyond his control. The second part is, what are the elements of a contract of insurance? There should be an agreement in writing between the parties, the insurer and the assured, known as insurance policy. Second, there is a stipulation in the agreement about the amount and duration of insurance. Third, the agreement provides that the insurer undertakes to indemnify the insured on the happening of a specified event. Fourth, in consideration of the above, the insured undertakes to pay to the insurer an agreed amount called the premium. There should be an express agreement on each of these points to avoid further altercations between the insurer and the assured. Third, what are the functions of insurance? The most significant function of the insurance is to transfer the loss which might be incurred by the insured to a financially sound professional risk bearer or underwriter in consideration of a relatively small amount known as percentage. Underwriting is the process through which an individual or an institution takes on financial risk for a fee. Underwriters assess the degree of risk for the insurer's business and helps establish the appropriate premium. The term underwriter originated from the practice of having each risk taker write their name under the total value of the account which they were able to accept for a specified premium. Insurance, in other words, is a device whereby the risk of financial loss accruing from death or disability or damage to or destruction of property owing to perils to which they are exposed is passed on to another. Simply stated, insurance is a way of distributing over a large number of people a possible financial loss which would be too serious to be borne by an individual. Fourth, what is the subject matter of insurance? The purpose of insurance is to minimize the impact of certain unfortunate events by paying a lump sum to the dependents of the deceased or to the persons whose goods have been stolen or to the owner whose property has been gutted. Quintessentially, the subject matter of insurance is money, and only that risk which is quantifiable in terms of in financial terms can be the basis of a contract of insurance. In the case of Department of Trade and Industry versus Chris Fair, 1974, 1 CH.D.395. CHD means Chancery Division, second series. In this case, a company formed an association of which every person who is above the age of 20 years and holding a valid driving license was eligible to become a member. In case of an accident, if he became unable to drive, he was entitled to a chauffeur service or, if necessary, a car and a driver. The Department of Trade and Industry moved the court for a declaration that the association was carrying on the insurance business within the meaning of the Insurance Companies Act 1958. The court held that in the circumstances of the case, It amounted to an insurance business, as contracts of insurance include not only the payment of money but may also provide for some corresponding benefits. Therefore, another dimension has been added in this concept in England. Till date, the concept was that insurance, the subject matter of insurance can be money only. The insurers do not insure the every interest in the property. Like there are various kinds of properties like wills, negotiable instruments, which are used as evidence of title, are not insured. Fifth, the classification of contracts of insurance. There are 4 categories of insurance, namely life insurance, fire insurance, marine insurance, and accident insurance. The latter also includes accidents to third parties and accidental loss of or damage to property. Generally understood, however, there are only 2 categories, namely life insurance and general insurance. Sixth, miscellaneous insurance. Barring the traditional types of insurance like life insurance, marine insurance, and fire insurance, the modern day welfare state, recognizing the ever increasing risks to which human beings are exposed due to the accidents of present day life, has evolved new kinds of insurance, usually called general insurance or miscellaneous insurance, which is not included partly or wholly in any other kind of insurance such as life, fire, or marine. It covers various kinds of risk which can be categorized as risk relating to person, property, and liability. For instance, a claim arises in life insurance only in case of death or on attaining a specified age. An injury which is not fatal does not entitle the insured to claim or recover any compensation from the insurer, but in general or miscellaneous insurance, a person can be insured against any personal illness or accident. Seventh, insurance against personal accident. Ex facie, an accident is an unintended, unforeseeable, and fortuitous happening resulting in injury or death. In insurance against personal accident, the insurer is liable to pay within 6 months of the occurrence the specified amount if injury has resulted in death or total loss of sight of the 2 eyes, dismemberment of 2 hands or 2 feet, or of 1 hand or of 1 foot. The amount to be paid has to be worked out in accordance with the percentage of injury to different parts of the body. It has to be understood that such kind of policy covers only injury or death by accident and not natural death, namely due to old age, disease, childbirth, suicide, or influence of drugs or intoxication. Such policies do not cover risks against death, injury, or disablement which are intentional, such as suicide. Eighth, guarantee insurance. The phenomenal growth of commerce involves commercial transactions with unknown parties. This led to the execution of the contracts of guarantee, whereby the surety undertook to pay to the creditor if the debtor does not pay. In other words, a contract of guarantee is a contract for the fulfillment of a promise or discharge of a liability of a third person if he defaults. Such contracts are fraught with risk, namely the surety has gone insolvent or the insolvent has gone out of business. Moreover, such contracts are just contracts of guarantee and are not covered by the law of insurance. To meet the requirements of modern day business, the insurance companies have built up a sizable amount of guarantee business. The principal types of policies under this category of insurance are: 1. Insurance for performance of contract. 2nd, insurance of debts. And 3rd, infidelity insurance. Insurance for performance of contract is taken for due performance of a contract. For example, contracts of employment. When the creditor insures for repayment of debt, he can claim the money or the balance due from the insurer if the debtor fails to pay. In such a case, the insurer steps into the shoes of the creditor. This right of the insurer is known as the right to be subrogated. Third, fidelity insurance is generally taken when the employee is handling cash or stock, which can provide an opportunity for embezzlement, fraud, or theft. If the policy has no such stipulation, it is not necessary for the employer to first prosecute the guilty employee. Here also the insurer is entitled to be subrogated after payment. Ninth, insurance and wagering. In a wagering contract, one party wins and the other loses. But in a contract of insurance, only the insurer stands to lose and stands to lose if the unfortunate event takes place. The insured neither wins nor loses. He is only paid compensation for the loss sustained by him. Secondly, in insurance, the risk of loss pre-exists, whereas in the case of wager, the risk is created by an agreement between the parties. Lastly, in a wagering contract, the insured does not have an insurable interest at the time of making the bet. But if a contract of insurance indemnifies the insured for the loss of some right which he already possesses. We have got the hang of the term insurance only. Please like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you. Break a leg.